Good afternoon. Welcome to our Institute of Global Professional Free webinar. Thank you all for joining and stay with us till the end. My lovely audience, today I am your host for the afternoon and my name is Babundas. I am from Bangladesh. Dear audience, I am proud to be a associate with IGP as a global member. I feel honored and privileged to host this webinar. It's my delight to welcome you all to our Institute of Global Professional Free webinar. Thank you all for joining with us in this marvelous afternoon, and it's my humble request and pleasure to all of you to stay with us till the end. Institute of Global Professionals serves student and community resource, providing holistic social work and education for create a competent generation. IGP is a leading on online skill development institute with thousands of learners worldwide. Institute of Global Professional is an educational institute provides social work with globally recognized. We organized our webinar training offline online courses by based and trained speaker coaches from all over the world. Our mission is to empower people. We have successfully completed 1078 webinars.
Hello,
Dear
everyone.
participant, let's welcome our speaker. Hello, sir. How are you?
Fine. How was Bangladesh and how was the weather? I hope you are enjoying the weather over there.
Yes, sir. Sir, first tell something about yourself and then you can start your presentation.
Okay. Good day, everyone. My name is Mahmoud Ino Balarabe, CLN FIGP Fellow, NON, and a PhD scholar with Lincoln College University, Malaysia. And it is my pleasure, privilege, on behalf of Global Institute of Professional, to welcome you all on this board today. However, we are to have you here with us to participate and share this special webinar. It's a special series or special webinar today that will help you to impart a prerequisite knowledge. Thank you so much for giving us your time. Thank you. My topic today is on repositories. When I say repositories, the first thing that will come to your mind is a place where recorded documents are being kept. In modern world, repositories has gone beyond that because of the inclusion of technology into information science. First of all, let me go through the topic deeply. The title of this topic is Repositories, Impact and Sustainabilities in the Third World Educational Economy. Repositories become an important need for human development in seeking information, Libraries become more than information centers and also be considered as service center. Libraries have evolved from being a closed store house of documents, that is data-centric, to being an open destination where users are catered with information according to their needs, that is user-centric. In this regard, repositories plays an important role in, in both user and data centric, that is the combined centrics. Over the years, the task of the librarian has transformed from being a caretaker of information to being an information professional who manage a system of information in multiple formats. The information is disseminated through specifically designed services as per the user demand. One of the prime objectives of any repository is to satisfy the needs of its users. And the library information services are designed to achieve this. As I said earlier, because of the inclusion of technology in library information science, users now had multiple choice for selecting the prerequisites or knowledge or information that they need. The obligation of library to its users is to provide information to support their educational, recreational needs. There are basically three categories of information sources. We have primary, secondary, and tertiary sources. All these sources are the method in which the librarian employ in extracting relevant information. The basic method of the two is one is to provide information to the user in response to an express demand. On-demand responsive services, and the other one is to anticipate user needs and provide them with right information and spectrum services. The main focus of this unit will be to focus on the basic category of information and services needed, needs, functions, and the role of information service. As I said earlier, repositories plays an important role not only in the third world economy, but in a global economy. At times, there are information that are hidden in the books. It is only in our repositories one can have access to that hidden information. Then looking at this topic entirely, the emergence of open access have opened a world of opportunities for the academics and research institutions. One of such opportunities is the establishment of institutional repositories, that is academic libraries. These institutional repositories play a pivotal role in the area of research and development. This chapter examines the emergence of certain of institutional repositories trends in Africa. It noted that the development of institutional repositories in most African countries is still at the infancy stage. This chapter highlighted the important role of repositories in the management of institutional repositories. The chapter has also identified and discussed information issues and challenges of institutional repositories not only in Africa but in a global world, in the general world. It identified the challenges include the lack of awareness, lack of required funding to establish and manage institutional repositories, lack of information and communication technology infrastructure, among others. It concluded that the establishment of institutional repositories is a compulsory venture for institutions of higher learning in Africa. These mentioned were some of the challenges we are facing in what? In our institution of higher learning, not only in Africa, in the world, in the third world economy. Repositories in Nigerian status and the challenges. Due to the bottleneck on our repositories in Africa, some of the challenges were highlighted. Some of the challenges that were highlighted are as follows. Number one, poor infrastructure. You can go to different libraries and information center in Africa. If you go to different library and information centers in Africa, you find that buildings, environment, utilities, and other physical structures are not functioning well. For instance, in some repositories, you find that air condition are not in proper shape, are not working. The bookshelves are not in proper state. Then poor content. This is one of the major problems we have in Africa. Poor training and skills of librarians. Funds involved in in-house training for librarians sometimes were not available for the library staff to what? To upgrade their knowledge. Poor investment and building allocation. This is as a result of the parent of the repositories are not in the habit of funding the project of the library and information centers. You find that there was no much investment in the area, poor internet access. In the third world, access to internet is very difficult in some libraries, especially in the rural area where accessibility of internet is very difficult due to different challenges. Then we have poor linkage to online resources and databases. Still, in some of our rural area, even in the urban areas, you find it difficult to what? To access the needed information because of what? Poor linkage. Then we have copyright issues. Some libraries find it difficult to acquire the prerequisite information document because of the price. So copyright issue is one of the problem. Some needed information cannot be obtained by the library because of their stage. Poor reading and writing culture. In Africa, generally, we have this poor reading culture. We don't have reading culture. You find that children didn't want to read. But one of the major problems, challenges we have in our repositories in Africa, specifically in Nigeria, is that parents have no parents didn't have reading culture. So for them to encourage their children and younger ones to participate in the library and repositories, it may find very difficult for them to do that. So this is also a challenges we are facing in the third world countries. Social service and economic centers. Sometimes we are having a serious problem in what? In uniting people together in the community. At times, repositories plays a pivotal role in bringing community members to the repositories by introducing certain program that will bring their awareness on the availability of resources in the libraries. These programs sometimes were organized during market period where a town crier will go to different marketing, crying and trying to persuade the users to go to libraries and information center to read the newly deposited document or books. Some of the objective of this topic is to help those who are pursuing about to register for various programs such as undergraduate, postgraduate, and even other sector of education. To help ongoing scholars who are engaged in any research at any faculties, regularly visiting faculties, teachers of university, and students of engineering and sciences colleges of and colleges to what? To go through. Number three, it imparts knowledge of tools and techniques of making to any student or scholars of various management, engineering and science institute to establish and strengthen links which research institute and organization in information sources of diverse nature and format, storing and preserving these sources at a suitable locations, and adding value to them by organizing for easy access. The next step is to connect the user with the resources by providing direct assistance to them. Repositories provide users with information, resources, and in some cases, learn to prepare them to other information resources. The differences between a sources and resources is that the sources is a raw material, whereas a resource is a processed product. It's a processed product. Sources become resources when they became relevant to the users. In this regard, we need to quantify the amount of information we have and their various sources so as to help our users to get relevant information needed. It should be verified and the content should be enriched with proper storage and easy retrieval. The development of system or mechanism to acquire sources, providing uninterrupted sources to users, managing it in an organization in an organized and customize the resources and provide information services as far as the needed users are the basic functions carried out successfully by the well-managed repositories or information centers. Information services in the repositories are all focused on marketing in its product and the potential users or one of the demand, making the information product marketable. It is a challenge before any modern libraries or repositories. The trend in which information required by the users of different educational, economical, and social background are to be conducted in one in order to provide the nature and scope provided. With this little objective, one should be able to know that repositories in Africa or third world economy have vast objective to their users. Some of the tacit objective of this course are repositioning repositories for the next development, for the national development. That is repositioning re- repositioning repositories for the national development. If you are to repositioning the repositories for the national development, there are certain things that you need to look at. For instance, you have to have an appropriate policy. In this regard, there is a need to have sorry there is a need to have an appropriate policy for that will guide the accessibility and usage of any relevant information in your repositories. Number two, repositories infrastructural development and procedures into national zone, state and local level. There is a need for dichotomy of knowledge or subdivisions or reposition of this development into various segments. For instance, in federalism, you need to what? To reposition your infrastructure to based on federal, state and local level so as to what? To reach all your users. Number three, to impose regulations through relevant agencies. For instance, in Nigeria, we have NCC, National Copyright Commission, that are in charge of various issues in relation to books. For instance, book piracy. How are you going to tackle such in the economy? And what will be their response if this regulation made the various stage, for instance, the federal, the state, and the local level. There must be a kind of agency that is checkmating the both three tier of information infrastructure. Number three, standardization. This has to do with the quality of resources we have in our repositories. Are they up to the standard? Is there any agency that is backing the standardization of our document? What is our government doing in providing a standard document in our repositories? Consumer professional development and skills acquisitions. Then number five, we have increased investment in repositories development. Number six, we have ranking benchmarking, social intervention, as well as identification solution. All these are added advantage to what? To our information resources. Then importance of management repositories. Libraries and other information intense enterprises have over the years adopted and adapted many management principles from business, industries, and government. In some cases, as part of the government structure or other larger organization, library information centers has been required to do so. In all cases, however, library actors or managers have attempted to adopt provide principles from the no library world that they think will contribute to the successful operation of their organizations. There is, of course, a major difference between most libraries and businesses because almost all repositories are non-profit organizations. Nevertheless, whatever the nature of enterprise, whether profit making or non-profit making, there should be a kind of government intervention in our repositories. As we all know, most of our repositories are non-profit making organization. So there's a need of intervention by our government in most of the repositories, not only in the third world, in the global world. So by this, we have some policy making that are guiding our heritage access. It is important to distinguish between objective and policy. Objectives emphasize aims and are stated as expectation, while policies emphasize rules and are stated as instruction, indeed to facilitate decision making. In our repositories, we need to have a kind of decision making in order to make the life, the repository's life working smoothly. In many discourse, policy making and decision making are used as synonymous terms. In practice, however, policy making is only one part of decision making. In this policy emanating from the original decision and become general statement or understanding that channel and guideline for the action, particularly those of the repetitive nature. In order to create some sense of uniformity in the conduct of organization, policies are contingencies planned because they are based on decision that set the action cost for the plan. Our document heritage need to have a good policy that will guide them and safeguard them, and the policy for retrieving them, and the policy for acquiring them, and the policy of disseminating them. Policies are often, though they are sometimes expressed in positive terms, are essentially limiting because they dedicate a specific courses of action and aim at preventing deviation from a set room. They attempt to guide against and eliminate difference that sometimes result from personality decision making through various levels in organization. It is true because within the broad policy outline, individuals of all levels may be charged with making operational decisions. In this course, repositories act as a good working definition of policies making, might be a verbal, written, or implies overall guideline settings in boundaries that apply the general limits and direction with material action that will take place. So policy making is very, very important in our repositories, especially in the third world economy. Then number two, how are we going to plan our repositories? As we all know, we need to have a policy that will guide the acquisition and planning of our heritage access. Both policies and objectives are guidelines to think and action, but there is a difference between them. Objectives are already discussed a high level channel decision along along the way towards making establishment objectives. Another difference is that a policy is actually effective or operational due to the day it formulates and contains to be ineffective until it is revised or deleted. As mentioned before, policy can be given a guideline to all levels of organization. For instance, adopting adopting an equal employment opportunity policy. In this case, there is a need for our library actors to draw a policy that will make a good planning for our repositories. In the third world economy, we are facing different issues and challenges in acquisition, disseminating, and retrieval of our heritage access. So, for example, the adaptation of an equal employment opportunity policy, an institution ensure that all qualifying individuals are seriously and equally considered by all hiring units within the repositories for any position vacancy. These are some of the problems we have in the third world economy. Hiring of the qualifying staff need to be guided through a policy for a proper planning. The policy does not dictate the choice of particular individual, but does eliminate factor of discrimination as an element in the final decision. Policy making, it is not just a advice for the top management because they include both major policies involvement, all segments of organization, as well as the minor policy applicable on only to a small segment of organization. Many policies in library and information centers provide basic direction towards the achievement of stated goals, including policy relating to material purchasing, personal employment, equipment uses, monitoring activities. Example of repositories and information centers policy may be all the new staff will be rotated through all departments during their first year of employment so as to what? To have a self-development policy. As I said earlier, repositioning of staff into various segments in our repositories is very, very important. For instance, we have 9 segments in the repositories, an important segment such as circulations sections, reference sections, binding, computer, technical, reserve, as well as other important section. Of this section, a newly employed staff should visit all these sections within his or her first year of employment so as to know what are the various activities involved in each and every section or segment of the repositories. You need to have a good policy that will help you plan your steps. Both policies and objectives are guided to thinking and action, but there are differences between them. Objectives are already discussed. A library material should present all the sides of controversial issues. Policy manuals should enumerate an organizational policy in relation to its goals and objectives. Repositories need to have a good policy on policy manual. Therefore, a policy manual is an important record and it is invaluable as a decision-making guide, and it is a way of communicating within ensuring some degree of uniformity and approaches or responses to issues. Of course, it is also serve as a historical record of decision made. All repositories have policies, whether they are written or unwritten, sound or not followed, understood or not understood, complete or incomplete. It is almost impossible to delegate authority and clarify the relationship without a policy because one has difficulty in carrying out decision some kind of guideline. It is important to remember that policy can provide freedom as well as restrict it and have and that there are many cases of frustration within organization about the lack of rules, regulation, procedure, policy, as well as arbitrary establishment ones. In conclusion, we look at the plan, policy, decision making, policy making, objectives that are very, very important in sustaining our heritage document in our repositories. We have highlighted some of the hiccup, especially in the third world countries that are bring issues to our national development. Consequently, we look at some of the challenges that are stopping our information centers as well as our repositories in the third world. Some of the challenges are repositories goes beyond technical learning is one of the challenges which I have mentioned earlier. Number two, repositioning and custodian repositioning our custody of knowledge. As I said earlier, we need to reposition our staffs within the various segment or section we have in our repositories. Number three, dissemination of knowledge to ensure it inform all the citizens through the federal, state, and the local level. Support for educational institution, primary, secondary, and tertiary. Support, these are some of the remedies of the impact of our repositories in the third world. Support for research institutions such as IITA, NCARD, Mumbai. We have different centers, institutional centers, research centers, research institution centers. We need to support them so as to get a good image for our repository. Support for continual professional development, formulate development innovation for industrial and educational development, ensuring availability of knowledge for development of other sectors of the economy such as health, agric, and other infrastructure involved. These are some of the challenges we have and the possible way out that need a policies to ensure some of the degree of consistency in the operations. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening to our lecture. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for your presentation. Now is thank you, sir, for your presentation.
Okay, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, sir. Now it's time for our quiz session. After quiz session, we will go for our question answer session. So, sir, you have to
Okay,
wait for a few minutes.
pardon?
So, after quiz session, we will start our question answer session. So, you have to wait few minutes to for question answer session.
Okay, okay, no problem. We can go ahead.
Okay. Dear participant, to join our quiz session, you have to go www.slido.com and the code is IGP2. After a short video, we will start our quiz session. So let's enjoy our quiz session. এটা চালু করা আছে প্রেজেন্টে গিয়ে দিচ্ছি জানান বাকিটা এক মিনিট বসুন বাকিটা Dear participant, to join our quiz competition, you have to go www.slido.com and the code is IGP2. We will pick your name from Slido, so join with us with your full name, which will directly print on certificates. Top 10 will be awarded with quiz competition certificate. And don't forget to mention your friend to join our quiz competition. Already 25 people joining with us. We will start our quiz competition after 2 minutes. Dear participant, to join our quiz competition, you have to go www.slido.com and the code is IGP2. And the code is IGP2. Already 29 people join with us. Please mention your friend to join our quiz session. We will start our quiz session after 1 minute. So please mention your friend to join our quiz session. Dear participant, to join our quiz session, you have to go www.slido.com and the code is IGP2. We will pick your name from Slido, so join with your full name, which directly print on certificates. So let's start our quiz competition. Okay, the first question is the World Bank is an example of which force in globalization. Option 1, multilateral globalization after two technology. Option 1, multilateral organization. Option 2, technology. Option 1, multilateral organizations is the right answer and 86% people are right here. Okay, in the leaderboard we can see this. Jordan is holding the first position. Our second question is verification by audit that info in a corporate sustainability report is correct is known as option 1 sustainability reporting, option 2 assurance. Option 1 sustainability reporting, option 2 assurance. Option 2 assurance is the right answer and 29% people are right here. In the leaderboard, we can see that Himalayan is holding the first position after finished our second question. The third question is, according to Gini Index, the cause of most of the raise in world income inequality is a option 1 growing gap between the persons of rich and poor nations, option 2 increasing trend toward liberalization. Option 1 growing gap between the people of rich and poor nation is the right answer and 88% people are right here. Okay, in the leaderboard we can see that Germany is holding the first position. Our fourth question is during World War II, support for business rebounded in the United States. Option 1 true, option 2 false. During World War II, support for business rebounded in the United States. Option 1 true, option 2 false. Option 1 true is the right answer and 74% people are right here. In the leaderboard, we can see that Himalayan is holding the first position. Our fifth question is which act makes it illegal for US citizens anywhere in the world to bribe foreign officials? Option 1 the International Anti-Bribery Act. Option 2 the Foreign Corrupted Participates Act. Option 2 the Foreign Corrupted Participate Act is the right answer and 29% people are right here. After the question, we can see that Catherine Tedion is holding the first position. Our sixth question is with regard of MNCs is the United States. Option 1 employee at com headquarters are foreign countries nationals. Option 2 each company must be chartered by a state. Option 2 each company must be chartered by a state is the right answer and 49% people are right here. Okay, in the leaderboard, Catherine is holding the first position. Our seventh question is the institute imparts value, habit, norms in family, regional, educational institute. Option 1 political, option 2 cultural. Option 2 cultural is the right answer. 97% people are right here. In the leaderboard, we can see that catering is holding the first position. Our eighth question is Constitution supports has no rule in increasing pluralism. Option 1 true, option 2 false. Option 1 true, option 2 false. Option 2 false is the right answer and 74% people are right here. The leaderboard, Catherine is holding the first position. Our ninth question is, after publication in the dash, final regulation are codified in the option 1 Code of Federal Regulation Official Congressional Directory, option 2 Federal Register Code of Federal Regulations. Option 2 Federal Register Code of Federal Regulations is the right answer and 37% people are right here. Okay, in the leaderboard we can see that Catherine is holding the first position after completing our 9 questions. The last question is, MNCs are all similar in their organizational structure and operation. Option 1 true, option 2 false. MNCs are all similar in their organizational structure and operation. Option 1 true, option 2 false. Option 2 false is the right answer and 22% people are right here. Congratulations, top 10 quiz competition winner. We have all of your name which you entered during joining. We will pick and prepare certificate and will post them into our official Facebook page and group. Our official Facebook page is Institute of Global Professionals. Dear participant, after a short video, we will enjoy our question answer session. So, if you have any question, please ask in our comment box. Our speaker will answer them. Let's enjoy our question answer session. আপু আপু উনি যে এখানে পার্সোনাল চেটে উনার মোবাইল নাম্বার ইমেল মানে ওনার ডিটেলস গুলো কেন দিছে আমাকে কিছু রিপ্লাই এগুলো কি ওনার সার্টিফিকেট বা এই ধরনের ইস্যুর জন্য দিছে যে আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে ওয়েলকাম ব্যাক স্যার
Thank you so much.
Okay, sir. Our first question is from Flomi. What are the purpose and benefit of institutional repositories?
Very good. And I just outline some of the benefit and purpose of IR. When I say IR, I mean institutional repositories. Some of the benefit of institutional repositories is for research and development. Institutional repositories are very versatile in operations, whereby a higher level of learning is taking place. So some of their purposes and benefits are for research development. Number two is to support the research activities. Number three is to become a tender of the last resort for our scholars and researchers. What I mean by tender of the last resort is that whenever information you are looking for, if you go there, you will get it. So one of the important of or benefit of institutional repositories is to make sure that any information needed by its users has been provided. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your answer. Our next question is from Isha. What are the core rules of repository?
Yeah. Number two, the core role of repositories is bring to bridges a gap between the user and the needed resources. At times, repositories become a middleman between the needs and the available resources. So repositories become what? A bridge between the need and the user. So the core role of repositories is what? Is to provide needed information to its users, whether it's documented information or non-documented information. What I mean by non-documented information is that information that are highly tacit. It depends on the policy, as I said it in the policy making. It depends on the policy of the nation. Some information are implicit, while some information are highly tacit. So it is a duty of repositories to make that tacit information available for its users. For instance, a government gazetteer, whenever a user seeking for any information on government spending, how does government spend its money? It is a duty for a repositories to provide that information to the users, depending on the rules and regulation of that nation. For instance, in the third world economy, where corruption is a day of the is a business of the day, some tacit information are hidden. It is only repositories managers and actors have access to such information. For instance, how this present Buhari administration spend its money. So it is a duty of the repositories head to provide such information for its users, and it is a compulsory for all the repositories actors to provide such information, whether it is implicit or it is tacit. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Dear participant, if you have any question, please ask in our comment box. Our speaker sir is here to answer them.
And sorry, in addition to this role, I mentioned both tacit and implicit. Tacit information are information that are not visible, are government hidden information, while implicit are any available information. For instance, you cannot go to legislature office, or you go to court demanding for high criminal file. It's not possible. But a repositories managers have the right to demand for such information, even if that information is very, very tacit in nature. FYI Act in Nigeria gives any repositories actor or manager a right to seek for any tacit information, even if the information is not shared or is very, very tacit in nature, depending on his or her users needs. If he has a users that needed such information, he can go to the court, or he can go to any appropriate agency to demand for such information. While implicit information are very common information that we can find in our repositories, they don't have any seal on them. They are very, very open, they are not closed. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your
Yeah,
presentation. But
yes,
I think there
yes.
is no more question from our
Okay,
participant. On
okay,
behalf of IGP, thank you so much, sir. It was
okay,
very wonderful session. I hope
okay,
everyone learn from your presentation.
okay. Thank you very much. Thank you so much, IGF. Thank you all my participants for your time invested. Thank you so much for your time given to me for this wonderful presentation. Thank you so much. I am very, very grateful and honored to accept your invitation whenever you present it. Thank you very much.
Now it's time to give you our webinar code. Today's our webinar topic is Repositories Impact and Sustainability in the Third World Education System. And the code is IGP 2936. And the code is IGP 2936. Without code, no one is eligible for certificates. With code, you can claim your certificates anytime. Thank you so much everyone for your active participation. I hope everyone learned from our webinar. See you again in our next session. Till that, stay happy. Once again, I am Badundas from Bangladesh. Thank you so much.